He walked in with his back straight, shoes shined, and heart pounding. A proud black father, a decorated Marine, stepping into the packed high school gymnasium for a moment he'd waited 18 years for. His son, his only child, was graduating today. He had deployed to war zones, taken bullets, buried friends, but nothing in all his years of military service compared to this day. He was here not as a soldier, but as a father. He didn't come in uniform. He didn't come for attention. He came quietly, alone, just a proud man hoping to witness his boy take the stage, diploma in hand. He found a seat near the front. The kind reserved unofficially for parents who came early enough, eager enough. And he had. After all, how many times had he missed birthdays, school plays, and quiet dinners just to protect this nation? This seat, today, was his battlefield reward. But peace, for people who look like him, never lasts long. 2 white security guards made their way toward him. Not with urgency, but with assumption. The kind born from years of quiet racism masked as policy. One stood beside him. The other leaned in. "Sir, these seats are for family only," one said. The Marine looked up slowly, confusion written across his face. "I'm his father." The guard gave a practiced nod, the kind that says we've heard it all before. "I'm going to have to ask you to move. We've had reports you don't belong in this section." The words sliced harder than a bullet ever could. "Reports?" the Marine asked. "Please don't make a scene." The Marine's fists clenched at his sides. Not out of threat, out of restraint. The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd fought overseas for this country, but couldn't even sit in a chair to watch his son graduate without being treated like a trespasser. His skin said, "Danger," louder than his medals ever could. The gym was crowded, packed with cheering parents, fluttering programs, and camera phones. But suddenly, in that one corner, a silence crept in. People noticed. Some looked away. Others whispered. The Marine stood slowly, towering over the guards but refusing to react with rage. "I'll stand," he said quietly. But standing wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Because just a few feet behind him, watching the entire scene unfold, were 6 men. Not ordinary men. Navy SEALs. Veterans. Brothers in arms. And more importantly, black, Latino, white, they were his unit. Men who had bled beside him. Men who had lost friends beside him. Men who knew this wasn't about policy. This was about perception. And in that moment, they stood up. All 6. Without a word. The gymnasium turned. The guards froze. 6 warriors, dressed in civilian clothes but walking like they were still on mission, walked toward their fellow Marine. One leaned in to the guard and said plainly, "If he goes, we all go." The guard blinked. "Excuse me." "You heard him," said another. "That's a father. And if he's not welcome, then this school's about to have 6 SEALs walking out on a high school graduation. That'll look great in the news tomorrow, huh?" The crowd was watching now. Phones were out. Some gasps. Some claps. The tension in the room shifted from suspicion to solidarity. The Marine looked at his brothers, humbled, emotional. He hadn't asked for help. He'd learned long ago to carry his battles quietly. But today, in this moment, he wasn't alone. One of the SEALs turned to the guard again. "This man's earned more in blood than your policy ever did on paper. Let him sit." The guards hesitated, then stepped back. The Marine was escorted, no, honored, back to his seat. By his brothers. Not in uniform, but in unity. And when his son's name was called, the entire gym stood. Not just for the graduate, but for the father who had been told he didn't belong. The 6 SEALs didn't say another word. They just stood behind their brother, hands behind their backs, like a silent formation of justice. The ceremony went on, but the room had shifted. Something bigger than a diploma had taken place. For a few minutes, everyone in that building had been taught something. Not from a textbook or a stage, but from the silent, dignified presence of a man and the loyal defiance of 6 others who refused to let disrespect go unanswered. The Marine sat with his chin held high. He didn't need applause. He didn't need validation. All he needed was this: to witness his son step into manhood, and to do it without shame hanging over either of them. But the moment was still heavy. Not just because of what happened, but because of what it meant. He remembered the nights overseas, when the only thing that kept him sane was the thought of his son's laughter. He remembered writing letters from tents lit by flashlight, dreaming about the day he'd be home for good. He remembered folding a small picture of his son into his combat vest before each mission, as if it were body armor for the soul. That boy had given him a reason to live. A reason to come back. And here they were, years later, miles away from those battlefields, but still fighting for something as simple as a seat in a public school. He looked across the stage and saw his son, head high, shoulders back, walking across the platform like he was stepping out of history itself. A young black man in a cap and gown, wearing hope on his sleeve and legacy in his stride. They shook hands. The principal smiled. The crowd clapped. But in his son's eyes, there was something deeper. He had seen what had just happened. He saw his father nearly get removed. He saw how close honor had come to humiliation. And he saw how 6 men had changed the whole room without throwing a single punch. When he came down from the stage, he didn't go to the camera or his classmates. He went straight to his father. The Marine stood, and for the first time in years, they hugged not like father and child, but like 2 men who understood exactly what it meant to fight for dignity. Neither said a word. But they didn't need to. Respect had already spoken. The SEALs approached quietly. No congratulations. No applause. Just a hand on the shoulder. The kind of silent salute shared between warriors who know that sometimes the loudest battles are the ones that don't make noise. But the story didn't end in that gym. It spread. The video clips, the whispers, the retellings. People wanted to know who this man was. They wanted to know why 6 Navy SEALs stood for him like he was royalty. And when they found out, his deployments, his rank, his sacrifices, his record, people were stunned. Not because of how much he had done, but because they almost erased it in a second, with a policy, a whisper, and a dismissal. That's what it means to be black in America. To have your resume ignored because of your reflection. To have your medals hidden beneath your melanin. To walk into rooms where people decide who you are before you even speak. But not this time. This time, someone spoke back. Without shouting. Without rage. With presence. The Marine became a symbol, not because he wanted to, but because this country still forces certain men to prove they belong even after they've bled for it. In interviews later, he never attacked the guards. He didn't shame the school. He simply said, "I wasn't surprised. I faced worse. But it still hurt." Then he paused. "What healed me," he continued, "was seeing my brothers stand for me when I didn't ask them to. That's what service teaches you. That dignity isn't given. It's defended." His words echoed everywhere. People began sharing their own stories. Black veterans. Black fathers. Black students. The hashtags spread. News outlets called. Some tried to politicize the moment. Others tried to dilute it. But those who truly understood stayed silent. Not because they were afraid, but because they knew silence is sometimes the loudest form of protest. Weeks later, the school invited him to speak. He declined. "I already spoke," he said. "I was there. And that was enough." His son went on to college. Full scholarship. Studying criminal justice. He said he wanted to understand the system that almost kicked my father out of my graduation. One of the SEALs wrote about the moment in his memoir. "We didn't do anything heroic," he said. "We just reminded the room that a man's skin doesn't cancel his service." But those words meant more than medals. Because what they really did that day wasn't just defend a man. They defended a truth. That black fathers are not absent. They're often erased. That black veterans are not broken. They're often overlooked. That black dignity doesn't have to shout. It simply stands, until the world has no choice but to recognize it. And maybe that's the greatest battle we face, not on foreign soil, but here, in the hearts and minds of those who still measure respect by skin color, not by sacrifice. That day, a man walked into a gym just hoping to see his son graduate. He walked out as a reminder that no matter how often this country tries to forget the value of black fathers, black veterans, and black dignity, there will always be brothers ready to stand up and say, "He belongs. He earned this. And you will respect him." Like my video and subscribe my channel for more daily videos.